As we await a grand jury decision in the deadly police shooting of Michael Brown in Ferguson, there's a class being taught to high school students here in New York City that's raising some eyebrows. Call it Cops 101. One school principal invited the New York Civil Liberties Union to give a two-day training session to students on what to do if they're stopped by police. Each student getting a pamphlet with instructions telling them to stay calm and in control, not to run or resist, and explaining their rights to them, that they don't have to show their ID or consent to searches. But some are saying the lesson paints police in a bad light and that cops should be able to give their side too. Bo, got to go to you first on this one. Is this a problem? Is this potentially creating more tension right off the bat between police and the people that they may think are suspicious of something?
First, we get rid of stop and frisk. Then we have a consensual signature thing. I hear a shooting. I'm looking at somebody that fits a description. I go up to him. I say, you know, I'd like to search you. We just had a shooting. You have a bulge over there. Well, I don't want to let you search me. Now it's going to go. And if he has a gun, he can get that gun and kill that cop. This is ridiculous. What we have to do is what we always have done. We respect the uniform. I always tell everyone, a cop in uniform is always right. You have the opportunities. If you think he's nasty or did something, you go to Civilian Complaint Review Board. But respect the man in uniform. We're taking that respect away from him, and you have anarchy then. And you're not going to have anybody doing their jobs anymore. My problem with this, when they start teaching in school, it comes to cell phone cameras. You can't search them. You can't do this. Then what the heck do you want to be a cop for?
Well, what about, Harris, to play devil's advocate, what about those that say, well, some of these kids don't know the proper way to act. We're just instructing them what to do, what not to do, some tips that might actually help to ease the tension that might arise.
Well, I don't have to play devil's advocate just to be able to look at this kind of from both perspectives, I think, because you do want children to get that respect, and you do want them to be prepared, and you do want them also not to be confrontational if it's going to be inappropriate in that moment. So somebody has to teach those kids that. So I can sort of understand how this conversation could happen. Where it starts to get a little fuzzy on me is teaching that child not to respect authority by saying, you know, you can opt out of all sorts of things. I don't think you can actually do that unless you're an adult.
Yes.
So I'm a little confused when you're teaching young kids. Tell them that they can't do this, and tell them that the police officer can't search you. I'm a little confused about the mixed messaging about authority. But I do want to challenge you on one thing, because there are some people out there who do mean harm, and they happen to be in uniform. Well, I mean, it's human nature.
Well,
you're not going to get perfect people across the board.
When someone's breaking into your house through the back and you call 911 and you want the cops to respond, you want them to do their job. And if the guy's running, all of a sudden they're chasing. My problem with this, it comes down to one thing. If there's bad apples, you get rid of them. Get rid of them. Yeah. But the police department is our line of defense for our lives.
And does that civilian review really work for that?
You know
I'm just curious.
I'm going to tell you, I'm a retired detective. My son was pulled over. He wouldn't tell him that his dad was a retired detective. He got a speeding ticket. He goes, I was speeding, Dad. He wouldn't tell him. I says, well, did you at least say your dad was a retired detective? He says, no, Dad, it wouldn't help. But I says, how are you respectful? The important thing is respect the uniform.
Isn't there a way, though, Andrea, isn't there a way to do this without painting cops as the bad guys, to give the proper instruction, but you don't have to paint law enforcement as bad right off the bat or dangerous?
Yeah, like maybe, I don't know, invite the cops in to do this training.
I like that.
I mean, bring the police in, show the kids that the cops are your friends. That's what we did at our school.
That's how we did.
This is not the cops that are doing this teaching. They're actually bringing the Civil Liberties Union into doing it. And a lot of this stuff, Jedediah, I think is good, right? They're saying what to do. Take your hands out of your pockets. Be polite. All things that could be taught by a cop. However, if you go further into some of these pamphlets, they do depict officers not as the kids' friends, but as the bad guys. And it sounds to me like they're teaching them how to sue, how to open up the door to a lot of different lawsuits.
We pick up
that's what I don't like about it.
We pick up the paper every day with a lawsuit in New York City where people are getting money because the cop did something wrong. Now it's a game. Oh, let me sue the cop.
I think if you want to question a cop, just say it nicely. Sir, do you mind if I ask you a question? Do you have the consent or the ability to search me? What are the laws? Say it nicely. You can say anything. It's all in how you say it.
I agree.
You respect them, they'll respect you.
Respect, unfortunately, is not taught as much as it should be. From blizzard conditions to flood warnings for an American city buried under 7 feet of snow as temperatures rise and that record-breaking snowfall starts melting. Plus, where some restaurants are facing steep fines, you're not going to believe this one, for posting job ads for waitress and hostess positions. So what's the problem? We're going to tell you.